I am an angry person, and this is an angry sermon. Angela and I recently went to Las Vegas. One of the things we did while we were there was watch a movie at the Sphere titled A Postcard from Earth. It tells a two-tiered story. The first is the story of two intrepid space travelers as they arrive at a planet far, far from Earth. The second is this story that the spaceship artificial intelligence tells them to help them remember their origins as they wake up from their centuries-long sleep among the stars. This second story tells us the tale of the Earth, and more particularly, the creation and diversification of life on the Earth. It is, unfortunately, a rather common morality tale about how humans destroy the Earth. Perhaps best told by Dr. Seuss in the Lorax, it is nonetheless a tale of how humans are somehow different than all other life on this planet, as is shown by our willingness to apparently destroy everything. In A Postcard from Earth, the people in the story eventually decide that the only solution is for humans to leave the Earth, which, not surprising, ends up in the planet returning to what it was before people, and with the implicit statement that such a world is better than any world with people. Why, if God created us this way? What exactly is it about people that makes us somehow different than any other life on the planet? Is it merely that we actually have the ability to impose our will on nearly every other life form? If this somehow makes us wrong and different, then why were we created this way? This makes me angry. Fast forward a week or so, and Angela and I are working on a crossword puzzle. One of the clues was a biblical pillar of salt. The answer was Lot's wife. Angela didn't know this story, so I told her. You'll not be surprised to find it made me angry. God decides that all the people in Sodom are wicked because, as far as I know, they were behaving as people behave. Her solution was to eradicate the city, which perhaps makes it so clear why we behave the way we do, although now I truly digress. In any case, Lot and his wife are told not to look back. And I ask you, what is the surest way to get somebody to do something? Tell them not to. No surprise, Lot's wife looked back, and for acting as she was made, curious, she was turned into a pillar of salt. This makes me angry. I have a similar upset with the story of the Garden of Eden. God created a paradise for her people to live in, and then put in a really nice fruit tree in the middle of the garden and said, "Don't eat from this tree." You can't tell me she didn't know exactly what was going to happen. Serpent or no serpent, of course we were going to eat from that tree. That is how we were made. This story makes me angry. Do I believe that people are perfect and should never change? Absolutely not. That is perhaps what truly separates us from the rest of the planet. Rest of life on the planet. We have the ability to transfer knowledge from generation to generation, to think about our future on a grand scale, to understand the web of life beyond what we can immediately see and smell and hear, and to be angry. It seems that I am an angry person. This is how God created me. Not surprisingly, I'm not the first person to think about this. There's even a book titled, "This is the Way God Created Me," that you can buy from Amazon for just $5. However, what I discovered in researching some of these books is that mostly these people are writing about how we were created exactly as we are, except in their writings, it means we were created to be manifestations of a loving, perfect God. This is the same God, by the way, that destroyed Sodom and turned Lot's wife into a pillar of salt. This makes me angry. I will encourage all of you to volunteer to deliver a sermon. You might find, as I often do, that the writing of the sermon itself leads to very interesting and valuable reflection. I realized in putting this sermon together that I was probably being too harsh with God. She didn't so much create me as I am, as lay down a blueprint for humanity, a blueprint that clearly allows for tremendous variability, much like some of the streets you can drive down in Chicago in which all the houses clearly came from the same plan, yet are all still different. So where did my differences come from? Why am I so angry if I'm built on the same blueprint as all of us? Like at the beginning of a murder mystery, when we find out that maybe the butler didn't do it, my list of suspects began to grow. My parents certainly had a big role in creating me, quite literally, as they were the ones who supplied the specific chromosomes from the genetic master plan. Much more than that, they were the primary inputs for me as I went from infancy to my young childhood. And there are, as probably with all of us, stories from my youth, which, while not as well known as those in Genesis, make me angry. Perhaps I can blame my parents. Again, as in the murder mystery, every new suspect begets more suspects. In this case, if you've decided that God cannot be the culprit, it becomes correspondingly harder to hold mere humans accountable. In this case, trying to blame my parents led me to think about all the other people in my early life. Siblings, then friends, then teachers, role models, both positive and negative, all of whom contributed to my development. All of whom have stories associated with them that make me angry. That is a significant number of people now contributing to who I am. Yeah, it gets even significantly harder then to blame all of them for me being an angry person. That is, by the time I finish cataloging all the people who potentially made me the way I am, my list of suspects is so long, it's essentially useless. I might never get to the bottom of that particular mystery. And then the revelation. The reason this sermon is the right one for me to write, and I hope the right one for you to hear, there is one clear suspect, one more likely and believable than any other. And as with all the truly enjoyable mysteries, it was the one person no one would have ever suspected. I am responsible for who I am. This is not, by the way, at all inconsistent with everything that I have already said. Yes, a significant number of people, including, if you will, God, all contributing to who I am. There are a significant number of stories from all these people that have made me angry, each one, at first glance, seeming to come from outside myself. Yet none of them made the final choices about how all that input got settled. Is it possible to be angry at yourself when you realize that you are responsible for making you an angry person? Absolutely. And that makes me angry. As I said, an angry sermon. But with that really irksome revelation comes a moment of freedom, a bright light leading me forward. Just as I am the one who made me an angry person, I am equally able to be the one to unmake me as an angry person. The beauty of traveling that long, horrible road to realizing that it's all your fault, all my fault for who and how I am, is to realize that blame is merely the result of having made a choice, which presents me with two options as I see it. I can drop the blame and accept the choice and be an angry person, or I can make a different choice. I am the sole arbiter of who I am. I can be whoever and however I want to be, for I am the only one who gets to make that decision. In this case, going back to our morality tale, I choose not to destroy the world with my anger. I choose to make a different choice. I can, in fact, not even get angry about what a crap job I've done in my life, getting angry. Oh my. Dizzyingly freeing and terrifyingly burdening. It is all on me. Sermons are, for me, a guilty pleasure. The sermon I set out to write, which was really just a vituperative diatribe against God, turned out to be a single step along the way to making me a less angry person. I am sincerely grateful to all of your help in aiding me take that one step. Thank you.